What's going on, guys? It's been a long time since I've made a personal video like this. And I just wanted to quickly tell you guys some things that I've learned while living out here in South Carolina. A lot of you think I'm living in North Carolina, but I'm actually in South Carolina, upstate South Carolina. It's pretty much on the border of North Carolina, and I have been riding mostly North Carolina. But anyways, I live in South Carolina. It's in Greer. It's about 30 minutes from the border, and most of my riding is in North Carolina. So here's some things that I wanted to tell you that I've learned while living out here in the last 3.5 months. First thing, there are really a lot of trails out here, and sometimes it's difficult to choose which trail to ride. And maybe it's a good thing too, because depending on where the rain is, you can choose that trail that didn't get rain. But then again, now if you have so many trails to ride, then you never really learn the lines. So it's very difficult to ride the same trail all the time when there's so many different trails. But the ones that I have been riding a lot of is Lower Black Mountain, Pleasant Ridge, Ridge Line Loop, Spencer Fletcher, and yeah, that's pretty much most of the, and Ride Canoga. I've also ridden Ride Canoga a lot. All right, number 2, Pisgah is a temperate rainforest, believe it or not. It gets as much rain as some of the places out in the Pacific Northwest, depending on where you're at. It actually gets a lot of rain. So if you're from South Florida, you're like, it doesn't rain that much out there, does it? Well, it's green out here for a reason, and it rains a lot. All right, so the third thing I wanted to tell you about living out here, driving out here is a little bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, coming from South Florida with traffic and stuff. So out here, it's very difficult to pass people because there's a lot of 2-lane highways and roads. So meandering through in and out of the highways or in between the mountains, you get a lot of twisty turns. And if you're somebody in front of you that's slow, you're not gonna be able to pass them. And then you're just gonna have to wait. And that can take a long time. And that leads me to the next one, which is driving out here. Whereas it seems like everything's relatively close, like Ride Canoga is only 50 miles from me, DuPont's 55, and Pisgah is about 60. Now, that doesn't seem that far, but driving out here, it takes about 1 hour and 20 minutes for me to get to Pisgah. So it does take a lot longer to get to places, even though it seems like it's pretty close. And then again, you might get stuck behind that person who's going 35 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour speed zone, which has happened to me a few times. The next thing, mountains. You're living in Florida, anywhere where it's flat, not a lot of elevation, you can go pretty fast because there's not that much work you have to do. Out here, elevation kills your average speed. So if you're riding out here in the mountains and you're climbing for 20 minutes, you're going like 5 or 6 miles per hour, and then you're going downhill, your average speed won't be the same as if, let's say, if you're riding down south in like Markham Park, where your average speed, let's say you're a fast guy and your average speed is 13 miles per hour, you're probably gonna average out here about 10 to 11 miles per hour, if that. The next thing, which is actually a great thing, is that because of all the elevation, when it rains, you don't have to wait a long time for the trails to dry out. Where in South Florida, we all know that Markham Park is closed pretty much every day after 1 o'clock. So yeah, that's about the cool thing about here. You just have to kind of like read the radar and see where the trails will be drying up faster than others. There's a lot more trails. The steeper the trail, the faster it will dry. Living in a place like South Florida and you have your home court trail, you probably drive there and you meet people that you've made friends with, and you meet them or you just see them there because they always are riding that same trail because that's pretty much the only trail you got. Well, out here, because there's so many different trails, you pull up to a trailhead, you're probably going to be the only person at that trailhead. There's not going to be anybody there. The exception of that rule might be if you go to DuPont, like Lake Imaging parking lot, or if you go to Ride Canoga, you might see some people that you might know, but mostly out here, if you go to a trailhead, like Lower Black or Spencer Fletcher, you're probably not going to see anybody because there's just so many trails to ride. Next thing, because of that, let's say you wanted to ride with people, but you don't know what to do with that. You could make friends and then ride with them, call them up. But another way would do that would be to get a group ride going. So group rides are a really awesome way for you to be able to ride with people and y'all do the same trails and y'all have a good time. And then afterwards, maybe go out to have a drink or get some food. So I've been doing that. I've been riding with Cognitive MTB. Jody, Will, David, and Austin are really cool people. And they do a group ride every Monday. And this week it'll be it'll be Lower and Middle Sycamore. Or it's Upper Sycamore. Whatever. The next thing I wanted to share is that trail building out here is a lot different than South Florida, where if you have been trail building for a while at, let's say, Markham Park, you're starting to do builds and being one of those guys, you become a lead guy, you can like put in your words. Well, out here, because everything's with park rangers and the forest, you can't do that. Everything out here has been established, and what's been established cannot be changed, and therefore it's basically just a lot of maintenance. And I'm actually doing my first maintenance day, trail day tomorrow with somebody over in Mills River, where Trace Ridge is, which is right next to Spencer and Fletcher. If you've never been, those trails are pretty awesome. But yeah, trail building out here is a lot different. It's mostly only maintenance, unless you work for an actual park like Canoga or Burn Peak or Burn Park. Then it's, you know, that's how that goes. And that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys today. I know that was a lot, but there you go. Learn something about the mountains.